Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Multi-Sport Nomad. I figure I better introduce you to the fleet since I have not done so yet. There we are, 4 bikes in the fleet as of right now. This would be, November 26, 2025. So I name my bikes. I got in that habit years ago when I was doing the tour of Cochise County, and I got stopped at a border patrol on my bike while I watched the cyclist in front of me just roll right through. They literally stopped me, walked a drug dog around my bike, and I continued on down the road. Well, some of you that have done these long distance events know that your mind starts to wander and you think of things out of the blue just to occupy your brain. Well, I looked down and I said, Pedro, what are you hiding? You got something I don't know about? So that's how the bike got named. Pedro, drug mule, ha ha ha. I was literally, maybe 10 miles from the border of Mexico during this. So the name stuck and I named it Pedro. Well, Pedro got sold back in 2019, I believe it was, when I decided I was no longer going to be doing these things. Well, fast forward to 2023, and I bought this. This is Ted. The reason why he's named Ted is because he's a teddy bear. Because of you that don't know, this bike manufacturer's mascot is a bear. So I decided to name him after a bear. And what's the most famous bear in the planet? Ted. But I named him after Ted, as in Ted in the movie where you have the talking teddy bear. Yeah, he's profane. He cusses a lot, especially when I'm on him. So there you go. That's Ted. This was the first one to come back as I started doing this again. I love Ted. Ted's great. I rode Ted back and forth to work in the very beginning of this. Yes, I'm still getting over my Timpy Town Lake sickness. So I didn't really ride Ted a whole lot in the beginning. Don't know why. I just wasn't in the mood. You know, as my other Dan All Over the Place channel says, you've got to be in the right mental capacity in order for you to do something physical. Well, I wasn't there yet. So slowly but surely, I got there, started doing this 2 years ago, and this was the bike that started it all. Well, started it all, yeah, but not really the hook, line, and sinker that you get when you get hooked back onto cycling again. This next one is the bike that did it. That is affectionately named the Italian Babe. I named it that, A, because it's an Italian bike manufacturer. And it's drop dead sexy. I don't care who you are, that bike's badass. Originally, that bike sold for $10,000. I ended up buying it off of the Pros Closet for around $3,800, I believe, plus shipping and taxes. I got it. The stem was too long. I really couldn't ride it. Thought about returning it and didn't. I later found out that in order to make it to where I could ride it, I think I just stepped in dog shit, I needed to replace the stem. Well, I started doing some research. It had a 120 mil stem on it in the beginning. I did some research and I found a 90. That cost me $620. Plus $320 to install it. It's factory. It's the original manufacturer. Bought it straight from Villiers, USA, and had a bike store install it for me because I'm not messing with hydraulic cables run through a very, very small area. I didn't want the frustration. So that's IB. And then a friend gets me hooked on mountain bike racing. I borrow her mountain bike for half of the season. And then I find this absolute beauty. Also, another Marin. carbon fiber. I love this bike. Did a couple upgrades, put a longer stem on it. This season I'm going to go back to the shorter stem. I now know why you have a shorter stem. Anyway, I love this bike too. And again, keeping with the teddy bear or bear theme, this bike affectionately is named Yogi, as in Yogi Bear. So Yogi was added to the collection, and I did the what is that mountain bike race? I'm drawing a blank. Mountain Bike Association of America, I think it is. I did their full season, half of the season on my friend's bike. Then this came into play. I did the other half on this bike. I did all of last season, 2024. No, 2024 I did all of the races. 2025 I did all but one because I had to go to a graduation. This year I'm looking at doing all 5 races now because they cut out, I believe it was White Tanks, off of the schedule for some weird reason. And yeah, looking forward to that. That happens here in the next couple months. So that's what I'm getting ready for. Right here, I'm wearing their hat. I should have known that. Mountain Bike Association of America. Yeah, and it's backwards because I'm in selfie mode. Sorry, I can't see myself filming like this, if you know what I mean. And on to the last bike that I purchased. I purchased this one used. This is actually a giant women's specific triathlon bike. It was teal and purple-ish, like a light purple, not a good purple for a guy anyway. I purchased this from the same friend that I borrowed their bike from. And also, this friend works for this company and helped me purchase that bike. And of course, helped me purchase Ted. So it's been a good relationship with this bike manufacturer so far. I love them so much that I decided to cover my tri-bike, which I'm not telling you what the name is, because the name just happened about a week and a half ago during Ironman. I decided to wrap it, and as you can see, I put their logos on it. I redid their bear. Now, because this isn't a true Marin bike, I didn't feel comfortable naming it after another bear. So it technically didn't have a name for a very, very long time. I've had this bike now for maybe a year, close to a year and a half. Well, during last week's Ironman, I finally decided to name the bike. This bike is now, affectionately, because everything's affectionate in my world, known as Iron Bike Tyson. I think it fits. I love Iron Bike Tyson. It is very comfortable. I can ride for hours on Bike Tyson. He has a lot of endurance, unlike the fighter Mike Tyson, who doesn't really have a lot of endurance, but is known for giving one hell of a punch. When this bike wants to, it is very fast, especially when the lazy ass that's on it wants to go fast. It moves. And as you can see, it still has all of the goop, gel residue, sweat, and whatever else it collected over the almost 7-hour bike event during Ironman still on it. Much like a prized fighter, this bike must be prepared and ready for battle every time, which is another reason why I named it that. These other bikes I could pretty much just ride and put them away, no problem. But that bike has to be meticulously cared for. I have to take the aero bottle off. I have to clean it every time I want to ride it. Also, I use this as my trash can. Sorry, can't see the camera. Gel will seep down into the headset and completely lock the steering solid. So this bike needs a lot of maintenance, much as a prize fighter would right before match. They need a massage, the chain needs to be oiled. It can be cranky at times, but generally it's a rocket ship. So that's the fleet. So for now on, when I refer to Ted, IV, or the Italian Babe, oh yeah, another story about the Italian Babe. Last summer, I'm in Flagstaff getting ready to do Mountain Man, and I am pulling IB out of the trunk of my 2023 Camaro. That's right, I would disassemble her and shove her in the trunk and take her with me. I was pulling out IB, getting ready to do the, I believe it was Olympic distance for Mountain Man. And a gentleman walked up behind the car and saw the bike and said, "Hey, did you buy that from Pro's Closet?" I said, "Well, yes, I did." He goes, "Oh, I see you've made some changes." I'm like, "Huh?" He goes, "You replaced the seat post, the seat, and that used to be a Dura Ace derailleur. Now it's an Ultegra." I looked at him funny. He said, "Oh, and it looks like you shortened the stem up." And I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, I was the original owner of that bike. I bought it in a very small town in Italy. I believe it was Naples, when I was in the Air Force back in, I think he said 2018 or 17, somewhere in there." And I said, "Really? Are you kidding me?" I was flabbergasted that he actually purchased this bike in Italy. And then he proceeds to tell me, "Yeah, that bike's been up all the big climbs, Alpe d'Huez, the Col de whatever that I can't pronounce or remember." But he says, "Yeah, it's been over like the top 11 climbs in Europe. And it's done the race I'm getting ready to do right now like 3 times before." I was flabbergasted, shocked. So the name IB, Italian Babe, really did match the bike. Now I absolutely love IB. Sorry, still sick. So that's my fleet. I just set up the trainer so that I could put Ted and IB on it, because they're both 11 speeds with whatever, 120 rear space, whatever. I could put both those bikes on from now on and not have to change anything out. And Iron Bike Tyson's going to be hung up for a bit until I decide what triathlon I'm going to do next. So that's my fleet. I'm Dan. Thanks for watching. Peace.